So today on Tumblr, I was basically looking through some articles in terms of animation to find some news for the Seeing the Twilight podcast, because Nickelodeon tends to use Tumblr quite a lot, and it's a good source of news, regardless of what people think of Tumblr. They ended up sharing a BuzzFeed article, which kind of made me... because I don't really tend to like BuzzFeed. Not for the same reasons that other people would do, though. I don't like BuzzFeed because sometimes they tend to over-exaggerate, or they tend to undermine news in terms of animation. In all the places where I get my animation news, BuzzFeed is the exact last place. But considering that they were the only people to actually do something like this, I kind of didn't really have much of a choice. The article in question that Nickelodeon shared by BuzzFeed is known as "The New Rocko's Modern Life Plot is Meta and Dark AF." This already kind of makes me a little uneasy because, our author, or our reporter in this case, decided to use the term AF to describe it. I mean, I know that it's supposed to be modern language, but come on, if you're going to be doing something like Rocko's Modern Life or presenting news and animation all together, at least have some kind of courtesy to type properly and not just use shortened slang. But then again, what are you to expect from BuzzFeed? Now, while I have already technically read this article, I decided I'm just going to read this article out loud, and then after that, give you all my initial thoughts on it. In case you haven't already heard, Nickelodeon is bringing back the beloved 90s cartoon Rocko's Modern Life for a brand new 1-hour TV special, Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling, in 2018. Today, Nickelodeon announced that the Rocko's Modern Life special, written and executive produced by the series' original creator, Joe Murray, will reunite the original voice actors from the main cast. The network also announced the plot for the special, and for a program that's being rebooted in the name of 90s nostalgia, it is extremely meta. Static Cling follows the original cast of Rocko's Modern Life after returning from having been lost in outer space since 1996, the same year the original series ended. While those plebs, Heifer and Filbert, are all about modern technology and hip food and blah blah snore, Rocko, the intellectual, is struggling because he's nostalgic for the 90s. This is a story of a 90s cartoon character who's been brought back to appeal to our 90s nostalgia, while he, too, struggles from his own 90s nostalgia. Literally, same, Rocko. So what do I have to say about this? The main thing that I have to say in this case is that I'm going to take this article with a grain of salt because it's from BuzzFeed. And BuzzFeed isn't necessarily the best when it comes to animation and cartoon related things, and that's basically my reason why. As for this movie and stuff like that, even with taking it with a grain of salt, it would make sense as to why Joe Murray is trying to do this. Joe Murray is known, at least for his shows like Camp Lasso and Rocko's Modern Life, to take common and everyday situations and still kind of exaggerate them, especially for Rocko's Modern Life. For Rocko's Modern Life, you have things such as, simple topics, such as going to a carnival, the DMV, driver's test, grocery stores, or even just buying a television. Simple subjects and everyday things that people have to do, and then overly exaggerates them. There might be some kind of lesson in the end, or maybe there is no lesson involved in it. But basically, it's just supposed to be taking an everyday subject and then over-exaggerating it. So it would kind of make sense why Joe Murray was trying to do something like this. If you know, from the Nickelodeon Splat in this case, or just some other source, that Hey Arnold is supposed to be getting its final installment in its franchise, or at least in this case, its final movie, in November of this year. Effectively ending, the Hey Arnold series altogether. Not only that, But it seems like that Hey Arnold and Rocko's Modern Life are taking up a lot of space in Nickelodeon's The Splat. So it would kind of make sense as why they're doing this, because Rocko's Modern Life is supposed to be getting its own movie, and Hey Arnold is supposed to be getting its own movie as well. But why bring up this topic? Why bring up the idea of 90s nostalgia? Well, if you think about it, for the past 4 years, going as far back as 2013, this has kind of been Nickelodeon's marketing idea. Nickelodeon's way of basically gaining a following or gaining some kind of money from it. A lot of YouTubers nowadays, a lot of cartoon YouTubers nowadays are basically saying that Rocko's Modern Life, or not just Rocko's Modern Life, but in this case, Nickelodeon is doing far better than Cartoon Network in this case, or at least that's what one of them is saying. And the reason why they're saying it is because of their 90s, nostalgia campaign in this case. From things such as The Splat to the Nick Box being released, a year prior to this one. And all the other moves that they were doing, especially with the Legends of the Hidden Temple movie, it would of course make sense that they're trying to really market and get real comfy cozy with 90s nostalgia in this case. As Double D said in Etta and Eddie, fashions tend to work in a trend, and don't worry, in a decade we'll be popular again. That definitely seems to be ringing true, especially with things such as nostalgia. But then again, nostalgia has been a huge thing in media nowadays, whether it's portrayed as a good thing or a bad thing, or just completely undecided. And, it would just make sense that Joe Murray is trying to do this. Joe Murray is trying to bring in a subject, that seems common with everyone nowadays, in this case, 90s nostalgia, and is just trying to over-exaggerate it and also teach some kind of lesson. Or maybe he won't be trying to teach some kind of lesson. But the thing is, why 90s nostalgia? Well, the thing is this. If it weren't for 90s nostalgia, there would be no Nickelodeon Splat. There would be no reason for Rocko's Modern Life to even be considered relevant anymore. I mean, if anyone else was to, get it on DVD or to just look at it, they'd say, I remember that show. But with things like the Nickelodeon Splat, which was designed to, incite nostalgia and basically make you nostalgic for these things, of course, things such as sales for DVDs are going to increase. Watch time on Nickelodeon's The Splat is going to increase, at least for people that would stay up from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And also, and most importantly, it gives these shows a second wind if the budget calls for it. Legends of the Hidden Temple got a second wind, kinda. And now this 15-year project for Craig Bartlett, well, not taking 15 years, but ever since Arnold Saves the Town in 2002, it would kind of make sense that Craig Bartlett is finally getting this final shot with the Hey Arnold Jungle movie in this case. And now Joe Murray is getting this. But Joe Murray is doing something a little bit different. Joe Murray only gets one shot. He only gets one movie. He doesn't get another whole series in this case to where he can talk about, everyday topics. So he has to talk about one last topic. What topic would he talk about? And to anyone who has been watching this video, it should be painstakingly clear as to which topic it is. It is the topic that actually brought him back. It's the topic that, made Rocko's Modern Life and a lot of old Nickelodeon cartoons relevant again. And that is 90s nostalgia. So of course, this is going to be the topic that he tries to tackle. This is going to be the topic that he, of course, is going to talk about. And with that being the case, this also might be the final nail in the coffin for Rocko's Modern Life. This might be, you know, the end of it. I mean, of course it's going to be the end for Rocko's Modern Life, but it also might be the final nail in the coffin for Nickelodeon's 90s nostalgia. I mean, let's face it, the creator for Cat Dog probably isn't going to be coming back. Once Craig Barlett is done with the Jungle movie, unless Nick at Night, you know, decides to reconsider their idea on the Patakis, Craig Barlett's just going to go back to working on children's shows. Joe Murray, he will officially be done with Rocko's Modern Life and won't be doing anything more with it. And Klasky Chupo is, as I consider it, out of commission. They're just not doing any more shows in this case. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that once the Rocko's Modern Life movie comes out in 2018, there will be nothing left of the 90s in this case, at least Nickelodeon's 90s, unless they decide to do another reunion. And is always SpongeBob, but SpongeBob has become so intertwined with the modern age that you can't even really consider it to be a 90s show anymore. There's old SpongeBob and new SpongeBob, so if you even want to consider it, SpongeBob is kind of dead as well, in terms of in this case, in a 90s sense. Not that it's actually dead, because they're still making new episodes to this day. But I digress. Basically, this is going to be the end of Nickelodeon's 90s nostalgic era. This is going to be the end, the true end, to Nickelodeon's 90s phase, because there won't be anything else. They won't be able to sell anything else. They won't be able to do anything else. And honestly, I don't think that the Nick box is going to be able to produce any more things. Yeah, they were able to produce all of this good stuff now, but they might not be able to do much else once this Rocko's Modern Life movie comes out. Now, if we want to get really technical with it, let's think about it like this. Every 3 months, the Nickelodeon Splat, or in this case Nickelodeon in general, will bring out some kind of new Nick box. That means that there will be 4 Nick boxes that are brought out every year. With that being the case, that means that one was already released beforehand. There's going to be one that, that I already paid for and is coming out now. Then after that, there are 2 more along the way. And then by the time that the Rocko's Modern Life special hits, that technically means, like, if we think about it coming out in December of 2018, that means that 8 Nick boxes will already be released. 10 if you count the other 2 to previously come out this summer of last year, when the Nick box first started. That technically means that would have been 10 Nick boxes worth of 90s nostalgia, and they're going to milk this thing until it is dry. And by the time that the Rocko's movie even hits, it will be dry. They won't have anything else to do. And what better way to finally, put a dried out concept in its place than having an entire movie that is basically based on the premise of a 90s cartoon tell you that the 90s are dead and that you have to embrace the future. I mean, if that's even what Joe Murray is trying to do. In this case, this is going to be a really hard-hitting topic. Not hard-hitting in a sense of like, this is really deep or something like that, but hard-hitting in the sense that the 90s are over with. They've been over with, and nostalgia is now just a redundant thing. It's time to start looking to the future. And even if people think that the new cartoons are bad and stuff like that, do your part to make the cartoons good. I mean, people will accept, criticism. People will actually take in input and fan mail and replies. You just have to do your part to, figure out a way to contact these people and voice your opinions. Don't just let it be the way that it is. If you don't like the way that it is, do something about it. Draw, learn how to produce animation, and step up into the field and do something yourself. Don't rely on other people to do it for you, because it's clear that Joe Murray just might say, this is the end of an era, we're not doing this anymore, it's time to start looking to the future. And in that case, that's really gonna shake some things up, at least for the nostalgic 90s community. But I'm pretty much through with talking about them. So here's to this new Rocko Smart Life, hoping that it's gonna be something great, and also hoping that it finally might put some sense into these people that are still blinded by 90s nostalgia. This is GrandOwlGaming, basically saying, you know, I love all you guys, and stay gold. What up, my dudes? I decided to finally go full on, Rebel Taxi Pan Pizza mode and decide to do the unthinkable. And I married Kole from Teen Titans. So with that being the case, we just got married apparently 2 days ago, and we need a honeymoon set up. So go on patreon.com/GrandOwlGaming and just help us out. If you can be able to help us reach $100 by next month, that'll be grand, because it means I can be able to do some kind of a bootleg cheap ass honeymoon video and you all can be able to enjoy it. It'll be top quality, top notch. I don't even know what this is anymore. Just go donate money to me. Like, seriously, I could use this. Well, either way, this is GrandOwlGaming, signing out for real this time.